Okay, guys, sorry, just in here dancing to a song I just heard. So we're today, right now, at this moment, going to be discussing germ versus Terran theory. This is a big subject, and I'm going to have to add more to this as we go and kind of build on it. But this is a picture of me with COVID, just so we put that out there in the world. Yeah, I look like death warmed over and probably wish somebody who had just shot me. And the first question probably came to your mind, did you take ivermectin? No, I took herbs, and it didn't last very long. And I'm still a little bit overweight, and I'm older. I'm in my 50s. So it's not exactly what everyone's saying. But we're going to talk about the difference between germ theory versus Terran theory. And we're going to talk about a few other different naturopathic perspectives on healing and what makes us sick. Okay, so first, I'm going to tell you a little story because that's how my mind works. And I want you to feel and understand the concept of something, not just learn the definitions and the black and white of it. Okay. So you're driving down the road one night and there's a carcass on the side of the road of a deer. Okay. And there's vultures everywhere. I mean, they're just all over this thing, just chowing down on this rotten corpse. Right. And you drive by and you say to yourself, you know what? Those vultures killed that deer. No, you probably didn't say that, did you? Probably never even thought that, did you? You were probably smart enough to realize that something, probably a vehicle, struck that deer on the side of the road, and those vultures came down to clean up. Right? So the evidence of those vultures being there in the presence of a dead deer did not say that the vultures killed the deer. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the whole basis behind germ theory versus Terran theory. Okay, so that's the whole basis behind Terran theory. So germ theory states that if there's a virus or a bacteria present in the world, then we pick it up, it goes into our system. If our system can't fight it off, then we get whatever that virus or bacteria causes. Okay? Sounds good, sort of, right? But we all know someone who had COVID. Did we all catch it? No. Did we all have the same symptoms? No. Was there a lot of us that tested positive for it but had no symptoms at all? Yeah. That occurs with every illness across the board. Influenza. You'll have people that, you know, Papa Joe had influenza, but Mama Jean didn't. Papa Joe tested positive, but Papa Joe and Mama Jean have the exact same symptoms, but Mama Jean tests negative. What? How is that possible when the symptoms are identical? And Papa Joe and Mama Jean had contact with one another, and she got it right after the time that Joe got it. How could that be different? We've all seen situations like that. Most of us just assume it's the same, right? So there was a giant tidal wave, and this is a true story. I don't know if it was Sri Lanka. I can't remember. I need to look up the name of the country, just so the story has more credibility, so you can look it up. Came through and, you know, decimated this population, and you know, there was feces and bodies, and even the graves came up out of the ground and, you know, were part of the water because it was just a mess. The tsunamis are a massive mess. Massive flooding. This happens after flooding anywhere. But the population had the same symptoms. The population of living had a lot of the same symptoms. And 50% of the people with those symptoms tested positive for dysentery, and 50% did not. Why? Why, if the symptoms are exactly the same, how come they all can't test positive for something? And why do you have people that test positive for it that have no symptoms? Let's go back to the dead deer and the vultures. Okay. So the vultures are the viruses and bacterias. They're what we've seen underneath a microscope or with a test strip that, oh, look, there's something there. Oh, look, there's something dead. It doesn't mean that the something there is what caused the something dead. And they will say frequently that causation's not, let's not do that. Okay, so we're not going to get into that debate right now. We will eventually, but not right now. So if the germs and the viruses didn't cause the death, what did? Well, terrain, it means terra firma, or the Latin means terra firma, or base, ground. Okay, so earth. So here's the difference. So what terra firma or terrain theory is talking about is there was already a dysfunction. There was already a breakdown due to toxins or parasites or some other cause that created a waste byproduct. And because every level has a scavenger, well, on that microscopic level came in the scavenger, which is a virus or a bacteria, to come in and took care of that. Okay, so it's a different way of looking at things. There were lots of other theories about how people get sick and how people get well. These are just two of them. And these are the two prevailing. Now, allopathic medicine, or medicine that comes from, pharmaceutical medicine, it actually talks about, only refers to germ theory. We've got to attack this germ. We got to attack this virus. We got to kill this over here. We got to kill that over here. We got to inoculate everybody. And inoculation and vaccination are two completely different things. And we refer to them frequently as the same thing, and it's just not. So we're going to have that discussion later on. But this discussion is about germ theory versus terrain theory. I want you to be left with the idea that maybe we are looking at things wrong or looking at things ineffectively. So instead of saying, like, look, you're sick, and I'm sure it's flu A, so I'm going to give you this because it treats that, that did not help the body fight back, nor did it help the body get balance. Okay. This would also explain why we talk about, let's see if I can find, okay, this one here. So this is Quatula latte. I'm going to be teaching on this one later on. And this is actually one of the herbs for this week. So scientifically, and I'm going to prove that and use research for you, so I can get the glare off of it. And not really, I'm just going to pull some out. So scientifically speaking, this is an antibacterial. However, I can use it for other things besides antibacterials, and I can use thousands of different other antibacterials. Okay, it's just a piece of tree bark, nothing special here. So there are 3,000 treatments for every ailment that exists, at least, especially when we talk about globally. How do we know what treatment fits what ailment? Well, I'm going to invite you to consider that it's not the ailment, the bacteria or virus or parasite or whatever that we're out to treat. It's the balance of the body that allowed it to become off, that allowed a waste product to be created. And that's what I'm going to start this conversation with. That's what we're going to start this entire program with. And I'm very, very willing to share with you the research of how Quatula latte kills bacteria. Absolutely willing to share that research with you. But I also want to share the possibility that there was a missing that the Quatula latte balanced. There was a homeostasis, which means homeo means one level, right? So a static level. So there was a homeostasis that got knocked off somewhere. And I'm not just treating a bacteria or a virus or a parasite. What I'm doing is I'm rebalancing that. And so I'm going to invite you to let go of diagnostics. Just set it aside for a while. And I'm going to ask you to let go of take this herb for this ailment, and that's the truth. Because that's not the way this works. And I'm sure you've seen that, oh, magnesium treats muscle aches. Do you know it causes muscle aches too? How do you know what was the cause of that person's original muscle aches? What were the other symptoms? What was their diet look like? Where was their imbalance? That's what this whole program's about. We're not out for regurgitating, take XYZ to treat PDQ, because honey, biology doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. What we're out to do is, how can I get stability over there? How can I help that body or aid that body or prop up that body or nourish that body until that body finds stability again? And it's a whole different way of thinking. And so I'm going to invite you today to just be with the idea of there's something else out there that maybe the world hasn't exposed you to yet. And that's the basis for this program. Got it? Thank you for joining me. It's trying to get me to raise my hand. It's not stopping recording. The tech is really going to bother me.